Welcome to Weird Web Radio, an explorer's guide to hidden worlds of the paranormal and occult, reality-expanding experiences, and the downright weird and bizarre. With your host, Lonnie Scott.
Hey gang, welcome to another episode of Weird Web Radio. This one is the very special gift from me to you as appreciation for you just to be a listener. What I'm giving you this year for Halloween is the treat of 2 bonus episodes. The portion that is usually only for Patreon members. I'm sharing Ivo Dominguez and Ty Gowen. Both of these extended portions of the interview were very insightful and very fun at the same time. I had a wonderful time talking to both of them, of course, and they are both incredibly good at what they do. Ivo has been a practicing witch, sorcerer, and all sorts of magical hats that he's worn over the years. An incredible author, and his teaching skill and his insights are wonderful, and I can't recommend Ivo's work enough. Ivo's episode originally aired as episode 23 on August 3rd of 2018, and of course all these episodes are always available in the archives everywhere you can get podcasts. They're all out there. Ty's original episode, where we recorded all of this, aired on July 10th of 2019, and it was episode 37. Ty is a great paranormal investigator. He's one of my fellow runers involved, with runes. He brings them into his paranormal investigation. He's been part of the Haunt Me crew, which is an incredible way to spend your time if you like paranormal investigations. And all those episodes are free on YouTube. You can watch the multitude of seasons that they provided now. It'll bring a little context for some of the milk jokes you hear in this bonus portion. I have to apologize to Ty, because going back through this, I remember that he thought he was safe behind that $5 paywall. Well, sorry, buddy. I guess it's a treat for the listeners and a trick on you. Your secret's going to be out. If Carol hears this, you're in trouble. If you enjoy this sort of format and the things that we're doing, and of course, keep in mind that I'm always expanding and looking for ways to grow that Patreon portion of the interviews, you can join the Patreon membership at patreon.com/weirdwebradio, or go to weirdwebradio.com and click join the membership. And you get access to not only these, but the entire archive and all upcoming episodes of these extended portions for only $5 a month. And look, I know there's a lot of things out there that are charging extra. There's digital streaming services abundant who all have their hands out. This is independent media trying to provide content that helps you grow in the specific genres that you enjoy the most. If you would stand there in line at Starbucks or in a burger joint somewhere and pay for my sandwich or buy my coffee, it's no different than helping out with this show, and you'll get just as much love and appreciation. Please consider joining the membership. I will richly reward you as often as I can for every hard-earned dollar that you share with me. No matter what you choose, I want you to enjoy this. I went double on the treat this year with 2 of these bonus portions because fucking COVID is sucking the joy out of our lives, and I thought you could use a little extra and a little bit more. That's enough out of me. Happy Halloween. Blessed Samhain, my friends. Go out there, trick or treat, have your fun, but be safe. Stay weird, my friends.
And now it is bonus question time.
Woo-hoo.
All right. Now, some people get stumped. Fair warning.
Okay.
First out of the gate, what famous person's resting place would you most like to visit?
That I haven't already, or that I already have?
Oh, well, yeah, you're like me then. You go everywhere you want to go.
I do visit grave sites.
Well, if there's one you haven't been to yet, who would it be?
I have not visited Edgar Allan Poe's gravesite.
Oh, very cool. Where's that? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. The last one that was really important to me, we went to see Dion Fortune's gravesite in Glastonbury.
Ah, yeah. That would be a nice place to stop.
That was an important one.
Now, do you have a specific practice when you get to a cemetery, enter a cemetery, go to the grave?
It's going to be really similar to the practices I have related to either entering into houses to check out their spiritual nature or going to a temple or a church or a synagogue for the first time. So I try to pay attention to like, where does this cemetery or burial ground officially begin? And I try to make some kind of announcement that I'm at the door or threshold that I'm crossing into the space. Am I welcome? And then once I'm in the graveyard, I try to find the location of the grave. And at that point, because there's usually a lot of other people around, because more often than not, these have been famous graves that I've tried to track down. I end up doing it mostly in my head, but I basically try to send a bit of energy down into the ground through my feet, standing near as I can to where the grave or mausoleum, if it's not in ground burial. And then I try to reach upwards from that rooting place and see into the heavens and try to see if I can reach towards as far as I can, whatever it feels the direction of that spirit is, and say, I'm visiting your grave. I'm here to honor you. And sometimes nothing happens, and sometimes there's a little trickle of recognition. But I anchor in the ground nearest the grave or mausoleum, and then I send a line of energy heavenwards towards wherever I feel it's being pulled.
That's very cool. Yeah. Well, we may have covered this already in the regular show. What do you believe awaits us after death?
I don't know. More work.
Oh boy.
I'm not saying that I don't believe that there's also rest and rejuvenation, but I actually think that in some regards our work is more intense because with knowledge or with perspective comes obligation. And when you are no longer hampered by the limits of physical senses or by the being locked into a very narrow concept of what time is when you're in a physical body, you have access to more information and a broader perspective. And my experience is that if you have more knowledge or a broader perspective or access to more, you then realize there's this much more that I have to get better at or do better at, or there are these many more things that need to be done, or holy crap, look at the mess I made on Earth. So I actually think that there's more work to be done when we're not encumbered by a physical body. Actually, let's flip the language. When we're in a physical body, we're encumbered by certain form constraints. When we're out of the physical body, we're encumbered by having a crap ton more information and perspective available to us, which creates a different kind of constraint.
Oh, yep, makes sense. So I'm going to count you in the camp of certain we have an afterlife.
I have no doubt about that. I can't share all the details because some of it's private, but by the way, I hate doing mediumship, even though that was my first formal training. So I only do it when it's really dire need or firm request. So like maybe twice a year. But I did a seance a while back, and the person that came through was a occultist who's passed on, and we got information about a specific ritual that a group had done and something that was unfinished and blah, blah, blah. And after the seance, we contacted one of the living members that was still around, who's in their 90s, and said, hey, this funny thing happened. Did you guys do this ritual? And did the following thing go wrong? And what needs to be done about it? And we had information about a ritual that occurred on the other side of the world with a group that none of us had contact with. And we had enough details for the person to recognize exactly what we were talking about.
That's cool. Yeah.
I put that in the category. Now, I could talk myself. I think of that as proof that we were talking to an actual spirit of an occultist who had passed on. Somebody else could say, "Nah, don't believe it. You were just tapping into your clairvoyance and clairaudience and all the other clairs, and you pulled the information out of time and space, but not from a spirit." Except it had way too much. Except it felt like that person. Apparently, some of the turns of phrase were like that person, which, for me, as far as I can tell, there is definitely an afterlife.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, one of my favorite books is titled "Don't Worry, There's Probably an Afterlife." Yeah, done by I think Greg Taylor. I think it's his name. I'll have to look again now. He runs the Daily Grail blog.
Oh, right.
Would you leave your body to science or a body farm?
I hadn't thought of that as a possibility, but I don't see why not. Current plan is ashes scattered on our land, because there's a spot in the woods where other people's ashes have been scattered from our tradition. But yeah, if it would serve, sure.
Okay, cool. Now, let's see here. What's your favorite cinematic, paranormal, or magical scene or just movie?
There is a old movie called Dragon Slayer.
I'm not sure I've seen
and it is, well, there's a lot of scenes in it that are absolutely amazing, and it's a little cheesy. It's a 1981 movie, but look it up. Dragon Slayer. It was an 81 movie. It has a number of amazing scenes, but the scene that I'm most affected by, there's a wizard that passes on, that you meet during the beginning part of the movie, passes on. I don't want to give out too many spoilers, but I am anyway.
Spoilers. 1981.
Yeah. Right. Well, you haven't seen it. So that he gets injured. He's not going to be able to help his student engage in this important task and magical battle. So he dies, but he gives his student an object, and when he needs it most, the guy shows up. The spirit of the dead wizard shows up. I'm not going to call it a resurrection. It was more like a very powerful manifestation of his spirit came to assist and to help. And it was done in a way that was not cheesy. And to this day, I look at that movie and go, somebody that was involved in that movie actually knew something about magic, about ritual, and about the dead. Because some parts of it still hold very, very true. But it holds up remarkably well. I strongly suggest you check it out.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds really good. I can't believe I've not heard of that before. I just don't think I have anyway. There's a good chance I've seen it and forgotten it. I'll soon find out.
You know what? And it probably will mean something different to you now than it did if you did see it years ago. I've encountered that with a number of things where I go back and reread a book or a movie or go see a movie again, and I go, it means so much more.
Yeah. Especially the more we acquire experience and knowledge as we're going along and do the work ourselves. That's an important point out there, kiddos. Do the work. Now, let's see. If you could have a giant billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting your message out to millions of people, what would it say?
Wow. I think I'm going to say that it would be a long billboard. It'd probably be a billboard with a couple of words and a website to grab your attention, but something along the lines of, we're in the last century where we can make a change on whether or not the health of the environment is going to be conducive for the next 7 generations. How much do you love the young people in your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then an informational link, because you can't put anything really useful on a but I think in the midst of everything that's going on in the world, it's really easy to forget that, by the way, I don't actually think that we have the power to destroy the earth, destroy life on the planet. The earth always has been through multiple major disasters and picked itself back up again. However, our survival as humans, that's not so assured. And even if we survive, there's a big difference between surviving and thriving, which is why it's like, how much do you love the people that are coming after us? Because they're going to have to cope.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Hopefully that message does find its way home into many more minds. Unfortunately, those environmental concerns have been turned into politics, discussed by lawyers and career politicians with no science. And it's unfortunate. Somebody's got to turn that tide. All right. You've got one more question, then I'm going to let you go back to your day. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Which means for me, chores today.
I've got to figure out how to form this question. Would you describe yourself as like a magic user, a witch, sorcerer? Jason Miller likes to use the word sorcerer. I know I feel super magic sexy when I say I'm a sorcerer.
It's a good word. I could say yes to all those things, but I usually self-identify as a witch.
No, there's a reason why I asked this. But go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because people say, you're not a witch, you're a magician, or you're a sorcerer, or you're this. It's like, and what do you base that on? And, well, because you do this, and this, and they look at my practices or rituals or different workings I've done, and they base it on that. And I say, well, I choose to call myself a witch, even though I could probably easily claim any number of other words, because for me, that word always reminds me about community and deep connection to nature and the spirits.
I like it. Now, for your final question. Since you have chosen witch as your identifier, come up with the worst, most absurd slogan for a witchcraft seminar. This is our chance to laugh at ourselves.
Wow. The most absurd for witchcraft seminar. Oh, golly. How to pick the most ridiculous magical name it has to be a workshop somewhere, because I have seen some of the most ridiculous magical names, or how to learn to love the magical name you've picked so that you don't change it 36 times so that nobody knows you anymore when they see you online with a new name.
Yeah. It's funny.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
It reminds me of the early days of AOL chat and Yahoo Pagan chat rooms. And,
right.
The different Yahoo groups, and everybody had all these different names. They're always changing in there. And then, of course, I start meeting other pagans and witches, and they're doing exactly what you said. Yeah. I know one person, bless her heart. She'll own it too. But I won't tell you her name. She's been
don't.
She's been Raven. She's been Moonshine. She's been what was it? She's been Gwendolyn. Oh man,
sparkly manic fairy girl.
Yeah, all sorts of things. Wow.
And the thing is, I actually, I have a belief that magical names matter, but there's a magical name that I reserve that only like 4 or 5 people know on the planet that I have for myself, and its primary purpose is if I get myself in trouble and they need to call me back to me, that's the name they're supposed to use. It's my lifeline name.
Nice. Yeah. I've got two. One that I've had for a long time. I don't really use it. And another that was given to me during an initiation. And that's a little different too.
Initiation names are a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different matter altogether.
Yeah.
Though everybody assumed in the early days that Ivo was my magical name, they didn't think that was my actual name. So
yeah, nobody's ever assumed Lonnie's my magical name. They have wondered before meeting me if I was a middle-aged black guy from Harlem.
I don't know if I would have made that association, but
I know that, Lonnie, actually. Well, that is a wrap, my friend. Thank you again for being here. That was really cool. And thank you for taking the extra time to answer the questions for the Patreon subscribers.
No, it was a lot of fun. So what's your relationship with Tyr?
Well, I'll give you that answer in just a moment. That's not their business. So for all you people out there who are awesome enough to support this show, I thank you from the deepest bottom of my heart. Please go tell your friends, your family, and your familiars. Only $5 a month to get this bonus audio and all the other cool shit that I throw on you. Every once in a while, I even hit the table and bump the microphone. Where else can you get such fun? Stay weird out there, my friends. All right, man. Welcome to the bonus portion of things. Ty Gowen.
Do this.
Are you ready?
Hi, everybody. I'm so ready. I'm ready to do the bonus Patreon content.
Yeah, that's what they all say. All right. So, what famous person's resting place would you most like to visit?
Oh my gosh. This is so weird because this is just what popped in my head because I've been thinking about it for a couple days now. I know that's really weird. I really want to go to Edgar Allan Poe's gravesite.
You do? Where's that at?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, this has just been in the back of my head for just a little while. But it's been continually popping up for like 3 days that I should like take a second to figure out where he is and just go. So it's really weird that you just asked me that question because I had an exact answer ready for you.
Why do you give it a thought for a second? Why do you think this is coming up 3 days in a row for you? And now I'm like, hey, yo, you got a synchronicity playing.
I don't know. Don't push this metaphysical stuff on me. I don't want to know why the grave of Edgar Allan Poe is calling out to me. Telltale heart type of shit. I don't.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'm guilty of something that I've done recently, and it's just been feeling. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's this great web series out there. If you're interested, called. This isn't why it popped up. This is now a new story that I'm forcing you into.
Perfect.
It's called Edgar Allan Poe's Murder Mystery and Dinner Party. And it came out maybe like 2 years ago online. It's completely free to watch. And it's Edgar Allan Poe invites like 8 famous authors, not even from his time period, just 8 famous authors, period, to his house for a dinner party. And you're just supposed to like suspend disbelief that, you know, not only are they all alive at the same time, they are all, you know, going to this party. And they all don't like Edgar Allan Poe because he's kind of like a dramatic like loser. And so the whole thing is about that. And then someone gets murdered at the party, and it ends up like the movie Clue, which is another one of my favorite things in my whole life. And so you asked me, you know, the question started, what gravesite would you want to visit? And I ended up with a YouTube series recommendation for you. It doesn't get better than
that. You have been the perfect guest in every possible way. Thank you so much.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Content for all your Patreon
That's
people.
Right.
Go to something that is not on this channel.
Yeah, leave here and go somewhere else.
Leave here immediately. Stop streaming.
All right. Well, you know, this is a part where I usually ask all of my occult practitioners if they have something specific that they do when you go into a cemetery or visit a grave, something that's part of their traditions. But I guess for you, let's go back to something like we were talking about gatekeepers and things. If you are going to like a graveyard or visiting a grave, do you have anything that you sort of do to set the stage, as it were, to do it respectfully or honorably?
I don't have anything that I do specifically, besides just praying and trying to be respectful, because at the, gravesite beliefs, like I'm not super in the occult world, so I'm probably bashing through a bunch of different customs that I'm supposed to be doing. But I found out, I was in Plymouth, Massachusetts, at, I think it was the oldest cemetery in the country last fall, with Stephanie Burke, who knew all kinds of old graveyard mythology. And she was telling me about like how graveyards used to have a living entrance and a death entrance. And so like the body would be delivered to the death entrance, but the people carrying it would have to leave it at the threshold, enter through the living entrance, and then go retrieve it from the death entrance, because nothing alive was allowed to pass through. I thought that was fascinating. The whole practice of leaving coins on top of a grave out of respect was cool. And then she told me like her thing, so I'm adopting her answer. If you ever interview her, she'll,
sounds like I need to.
The originality of it. Yes, she's wonderful. She had us all, visit the cemetery and walk through the practices that she's learned of, which was really cool to be respectful of that in this old cemetery. And then she had us all leave the cemetery walking backwards through it, so nothing could follow you out of it. And those are the fun little, esoteric ancient beliefs that I love hearing about and, respecting and kind of going through the motions with.
Yeah, those old customs, the different folklore and superstitions are pretty cool. It's the small details like that really bring it all to life. And, you were talking about the living entrance and the dead entrance, and you have this, you work with runes and you have this interest in the old sagas. The Icelanders had a custom that we know of was real, that sometimes they would cut an extra hole out in the wall to remove the dead and then fill it back up and then go bury the dead, just in case that person rose from the grave as a draugr, basically undead, a zombie of sorts.
Uh-huh.
And if the belief was that if they did, they could not return home through the door, or if they were going to return home, they had to come back in through the door which their body was carried out. So
so you made it real hard.
Yeah, they hacked the zombie system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, make sure you hack the zombie system.
That's right. That should be on a T-shirt.
Exactly. That should be on your specific merch to your Patreon people. Hack the zombie system. Make sure they can't come inside.
Yeah, no kidding. Not a bad idea. I think I'll put it on some Weird Web Radio merchandise. I've been looking at merchandising. So, let's see. What is one of your favorite, excluding Haunt Me, of course, what's one of your favorite moments in just entertainment, TV, internet, wherever you want to find it, that involves the paranormal and paranormal investigating?
Oh my God, that's a good one. I loved watching paranormal TV with my mom because she gets freaked out so hard. So give me 1 second because I'm trying to go through these moments there.
I do that with my fiance. She gets goosebumps. That's how I know things are good.
So I'm going to go way back for you. The best moment, I think, for me is because I love the garbage stuff too. Like I am a paranormal junk food junkie. I like, when you're doing it, you understand, like the likelihood of what is going to happen to you out there. But when you have a fever in high school and you're home from school and you've got that good daytime TV going on, you're going to be watching A Haunting on ABC Family from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. because that's when it was on. That is what I live for. And so, like, I don't know if no one watched that show, but like it was this one where it had a creepy narrator would set the stage, and then they had actors redo the haunting experience. and then it would cut to like the people, you know, their interviews of who was actually there and what it was actually like for them to experience this. And sometimes on like the really creepy ones, they'd be like silhouetted, blacked out, and their voice would be changed to protect their identity. So anyways, I digress. The show was just so over the top. I freaking loved it. There was this one episode where this girl moved in with her best friend, and he was this dude who had everything together, but then like he had made some type of deal with the devil to get a promotion at work, and then haunting things started happening at the house, and they were demonic, and like the start out small where like the cabinets would be open, and then like furniture started stacking, and then like her keys would fly around the room when she would try to leave. She couldn't find them, and then he started getting violent, and then like the moment that I'm remembering is that her friends told her that, like, you know, she tried to like go to get an exorcism and she couldn't, and so her friends told her she had to leave the house, and then like she had packed up all of her stuff, and then she went over to like get like a plant or something like that, if I'm remembering right. And she found that her roommate, who she had trusted, was now in a room summoning the devil with cloaked figures and a pentagram on the floor.
Oh, of course.
And she turned and ran and had never returned again. It's like, I don't know if that's the type of answer you're looking for, but that's what you're going to get, because I love me some A Haunting on ABC Family.
Oh, I like the cheese too. I love the paranormal cheese.
So good. There was like even, oh my god, I'm sorry that I'm going down this road right now. Enjoy, Patreon listeners. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, because I'm reliving old TV in my mind. But they had like a kids version of it too, and I'm not even kidding. They would send like these, like, it was this kids scary stories, and it was like a spin-off or something, and these kids had to go on like these paranormal missions, and so it was like Ghost Hunters Junior type of thing, but it was by A Haunting, because they had this the creepy narrator too. It was like this woman who was like, I think it was the woman from The Exorcist. It was her voice, and these kids had to like go on this mission to go like find the church that the Jersey Devil was born in, and then had to like spend the night there. And so I remember watching like their A Haunting version of it, and they find this church, and like something swoops out of the top window, and they go running into the woods, and they can't go back, and like they fail their haunting mission. And I remember it so strongly that like when I was in college, me and my friend were doing the weird New Jersey books, and we're like going from like bizarre site to bizarre site, and we had this mission where we're like, let's go find the Jersey Devil Church. And then so like upon searching for it and failing, we did more research and found out that the Jersey Devil Church doesn't exist. Neither does the home that he was born in. The most you can find is some rocks in this form of like a square that are like the foundation of where this myth came from. And so it's like this show straight up lied to me when I was having my fever in high school, but it made such an impact that these kids could do something so brave that I did it like 10 years later, only to find out that I was lied to. So far on Patreon, I've sent your Patreon crew to another website to go watch other content, and then also making them go back to watching circa 2000s A Haunting on ABC Family. Yeah. So I'm on a roll. Keep it coming. I can tell them not to continue listening again and again.
I urge anyone out there who ever encounters Ty in the wild to provide him with a stuffed Jersey Devil.
Oh my god, I think it's just such a cutie pie. That thing is just a misunderstood little demon there.
Yeah. What do you think awaits us in the afterlife?
Oh my god. I promise you I won't be sending anyone to like a podcast or a web series off of this answer. What awaits us in the afterlife? Dude, I hope it's heaven. And I hope it's a version of what we've all been taught. I think all the religions kind of get something right. There's a lot of overlap there for it to be wrong, but I just hope what people live their life needing is what's waiting for us on the other side.
Yep, that's fair enough. if you could build a monument or like a great work of art, something that pays homage to the greats of your field, and let's choose, maybe 2 or 3. Who do you want to honor on this thing?
On this monument?
Yeah.
Who would I pick as the greats of the field?
Yeah.
Jesus. I would pick Houdini for being a figurehead to force people to think critically during the times of the spiritualism era. I would pick from my monument the entire original cast of the show Ghost Hunters for repopularizing the field so that people like me could understand that it's attainable and researchable after everything kind of went dark, after the spiritualism era for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then I would pick Carol Cleveland because the image of her face would keep people away from the monument so they won't deface it.
Nice. That's nice.
She's horrifying.
She's horrifying. It would be something featuring her holding a giant thing of chocolate milk in one hand
and a crucifix in the other, or maybe like a dagger.
Yeah. Nice. I could tell you two really enjoy each other's company.
She's a monster.
A monster. Yeah. Well, it's protected by a paywall, so unless she pays me $5, she won't hear you say that.
But perfect. Then I'm super safe.
Maybe. Greg and Dana are Patreon supporters, so maybe.
Oh my God! Yeah, they get this back to Carol.
Yeah. So, let's see. A couple more questions, and I'll let you get out of here. I know you got a lot going on today.
Well, I got one for you.
What is it?
If you were represented by any rune and you can only pick one, like if you wore it on your chest like a superhero symbol, what rune would it be?
Oh, now, me personally, I would say Ansu's, because the wisdom and communication are both very important to me as a professional hypnotist, and helping people literally make profound, immediate changes to their life through nothing more than my use of communication. I'd say Ansu's is an accurate representation. But I'm on the high read of the Troth. The Troth is an international inclusive heathen organization, and every year we have a gathering called Troth Moot. Last year at Troth Moot, someone came up to me and they're basically like, "Hey, draw a rune. Let's see what you get." And I reach in a bag and I draw Wunyo. And for those who don't know, Wunyo is about joy and union, happiness, and next person that comes along, they're doing rune things. I pull out Wunyo. Now it's become a game. Everybody wants to see what happens when Lonnie draws a rune from their rune set. And I continually, time after time after time after time, kept pulling Wunyo, 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 until several of them just decided that I am this great bringer of happiness wherever I go.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought it was
good answer.
Yeah, I thought it was sweet, but I still maintain that Ansu's is my thing.
That's the Ansu's is going on your spandex.
Yeah.
When you become the superhero.
Oh no, I'm rocking a good dad bod. Nobody wants spandex on this guy. Yeah, nobody wants to see that. All right, so 2 more questions. First up. Of all the places you've been and places you've lived, every place has its own local folklore, local legends. Clearly, you've explored and tried to find lots of them. What is your favorite local folklore? Or
favorite local folklore?
Yeah.
From Maine?
Yeah, anywhere you've lived, anywhere you've been, just a story or a place. Or a person in history, something that's local to, and tell us where it is and which story it is that is your favorite.
I love it all. That's honestly why I went Jersey Devil hunting, is because they have the weird New Jersey books that you can just read.
Oh, they have
that
weird
bizarre.
Everything states. On my bookshelf next to me, I have Weird Illinois.
And I got Weird New England. I love that they categorize the stuff that I care about in book form. But yeah. I digress. So folklore is super easy for me to do because, like, when you're in Maine and you live along the rocky coast full of sailors and lobstermen, like, the folklore is real. Like, this, people take this super seriously. And some of, like, the sea legends that we have out here, are passed down word of mouth, for generations. And so they really build up. But I would say that the best piece of folklore that we personally investigated was spending the night on Seguin Island, which is 2 miles off the coast of Maine, because the folklore there caused ships during foggy nights to steer far away from the island itself. Like, that's how strong these stories are amongst the sea community. Sailors believe that, like, if there's danger upon the island or they're getting too close, they'll be able to hear the piano music of the wife who was brutally murdered on the island by her lightkeeper husband over the course of a winter when they were both trapped out there.
It's a love story.
It's a beautiful love story. And so because of that story, basically the tale is that the lightkeeper was out there. The bay freezes up, so there's no passing back and forth for the winter. He didn't want to be alone, so he brought his wife out there. And knew that she would be lonely and bored, so that he bought her a piano before everything froze up, and had it delivered, so that she could keep herself entertained throughout the cold winter months while he was working on the light. The problem that the story talks about is that the piano was delivered with one piece of sheet music, and she didn't know how to play by ear. And so she found it she was completely content playing the one song over and over and over and over again. So I don't know how much of this is true, because you'd think that she would, like, make an effort after a while to just try, making some notes on her own. But stories that she didn't, and that the lighthouse keeper ended up going crazy and took the axe to the piano. And when she tried to protest, he took the axe to her. And then when he kind of came out of it all and realized what he did, he climbed up to the top of the lighthouse, the light tower, and jumped off. And so obviously, the light kept burning until it was out of oil. And when the light snuffed out, people on the mainland knew that something had gone wrong, but they couldn't get out there until the bay thawed. And so it was a serious amount of time before they could get out there, knowing that something had gone probably terribly wrong, that the light had been extinguished for so long. And then that's when they came across the murder-suicide. So that, take whatever actually happened and then multiply it by sailor lore, and know that you have now reached this crazy story that the ghost protects this rocky shores. You can hear piano music on foggy nights. And then also know that while we were out there, we had our own experiences, but none of our research could point to a specific individual or wife who had died on the island. So that's where you get the folklore from, is that anything could have happened, but it created quite a cool story for a nice haunted island.
Nice. Yeah. And now the island might even be haunted because of those stories. But that's another show, folks.
We're on the Patreon now. We can't go back to the main podcast. That's asking me more.
That's right. I'm working on a book, and when you're ready, and it's ready, you can buy it. No.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Buy the book. Watch the web series that has nothing to do with Haunt Me that I told you about at the beginning.
Yes, do the things. Yeah.
All of these things I'm throwing your way. It's gold, Patreon. It's gold.
It's gold. Pure gold. All right. Last question, Ty. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. I take this one from a little twist on something Tim Ferriss always asks people on his show. I don't know if you know who Tim Ferriss is, but he was a big inspiration for me even having a podcast. Question is, if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, metaphorically speaking, getting a message out to millions or even billions of people, knowing that they will understand what it is you're trying to get across and impact them personally, what would it say and why?
It's really deep.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say, I'd try to keep it simple because I'm a marketing guy. So I'm trying to pull that in and make an educated answer for you. Honestly, I would say that I would just have it say forward.
Why is that?
Forward for me is just kind of like it's a keep trying type of feel. Like for people who are anything like me that, fail often, like that's okay. And you learn probably more from your failures than you do from your successes. So as long as you're willing to keep moving forward, you can keep creating and you can keep discovering and you can keep learning and you can keep growing. And so I would say it would be a big old billboard with the word forward on it.
I like it. And I've changed my mind.
Thank you.
Because I think you can handle it and provide.
Okay.
I'm asking one more bonus question, and I'm going to revive the question I used to ask last for Patreon in my first season.
Oh my God, this better be worth that $5 that they're paying.
Uh-huh.
Everybody tell your friends to get on board with this because I get a bonus question coming my way.
It's a bonus question. Come up with the most ridiculous, absurd slogan for a paranormal investigation.
I would say go deeper, go further back, find the ghost who was the first to taste milk. I think that's important because that guy's a crazy person.
Cow rune. Yep.
It's just the cow rune comes back again.
Yep.
I really think whoever was the first person to discover milk was probably the weirdest person who's ever existed on this planet. So there you go. Search harder, people. Find the ghost of the guy who tried milk for the first time. Ask him a damn question.
I agree. That is a great thing to think about. What a fucked up thing.
Welcome to the inside of my brain.
I dig it. I think we'd be great friends. All right. All right, Ty, thank you again for taking the time out, and especially this extra time for the Patreon supporters.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, and
thank you for letting me send people off of your Patreon to other websites that make you no money.
Hey, that's fine. It's just about spreading information. All right, folks. Thank you again for being supporters. Thank you for being members. I greatly appreciate it. Go out and tell your friends, your family, and even your familiars to come join the Weird Web Radio family. Stay weird out there, my friends.
Bye, Patreon.
Do you want to hear how they just answered that question? What famous person's resting place would you most like to visit? That and many others, including what they think about the afterlife, what they may or may not do in cemeteries, what are their traditions and magical practices that have to do with the dead, folklore that surrounds their homes, and so much more, available for only $5. $5 a month. Even if I make more than one episode in a month, it's still just $5 a month at patreon.com/weirdwebradio, or go to weirdwebradio.com and click join the membership. You can find me on Instagram at weirdwebradio. You can find me on Facebook as Weird Web Radio, or come join the new, fun, and exciting Weird Web Radio Facebook group. Thank you again for being here. Stay weird out there, my friends.